All right, welcome back. We're doing another round of Desmos and tutorials so that you can do this at home on Desmos.com instead of on your graphing calculator. So I'm going to be looking at this activity that we're doing this week. I'm going to be skipping 1 and 2 because those are set up to help you look at some ideas of the calculator and see how it deals with certain situations. So that when you set this up, you kind of get what's going on. We're going to start out on activity 3, how to do a piecewise function in Desmos. So I'm going to be doing this example, and then you can try a couple out to make sure you can make them work. So I'm going to be going over to Desmos.com and looking at how I can do this. Now I saw 2 different ways to do it. I can either do it in 3 separate steps, or I can do it in one big, ugly function. So I'm going to show you both ways using that example. So I'm going to set up a function. And normally what we would want to do is just type in our 2x plus 7 to get our lovely line. But we don't want 2x plus 7 to work everywhere. If we look back at the example, we want 2x plus 7 to work when x is less than or equal to negative 2. So to do that, we need to use, right next to the P key, you're going to do shift and then grab this curly brace. And then you're going to say, I want it when x is less than or equal to. When you do the less than sign and then do that equal sign right next to it, it automatically drops it down there, negative 2. And then to separate these two, we're going to use a colon. And then you can see it wants to go ahead and end that brace. So there's our section. Now the simple way to do this is just to do 3 different functions and then modify it each time. So the second section we're looking at is our function is 3 between negative 2 and 2. So we're going to take, so this has 2 parts. In general, we use these curly braces and a semicolon to say I want something to happen here, and this is what I want to have happen. So here we want negative 2 to be less than x, which we want to be less than or equal to 2. And what I want to happen there is I want my answer to be 3. Now it's going to treat it as a separate function, so it'll be a different color. It does not do anything special at boundary points. So if you look at, like, if I made this 5, you need to be aware as a reader that it's equal at negative 2, it's equal here and not equal here. It doesn't put in the empty dots. You need to keep an eye on that. But in this case, they overlap, so it's not something we have to worry about. And then for the third one, our third function, or third section of our piecewise function is I want x plus 1 if x is bigger than 2 or greater than 2. So we change our conditional statement when x is greater than 2, colon, I want x to be plus 1. So when x is less than negative 2, I've got 2x plus 7. When x is between negative 2 and 2, I've got 3. And when x is greater than 2, I want x plus 1. Now, some of you might, we're basically building 3 separate functions to do this. There is a way to do this as one function. So what we'll do is I'm going to just cut this out. Instead of ending it here, we can put a comma in, put our second conditional in our rule with our colon, and then put another comma, and put our third conditional here. And there we go. So if you want to do it in one big true piecewise function, what you do is you set up your function, f of x equals, and then you start your brace, and then you start your first conditional, x is less than or equal to negative 2, when, or if, there's our if, x, x plus 2x plus 7. Then we put a comma to separate our second conditional statement between -2 and when x is between -2 and 2. We use 3, and then comma, when x is greater than 2, we use x plus 1, and then we just end the whole thing with a curly brace to let the computer know what's going on. So that's how you can do this in one big setup. So just to reiterate, we can use f of x equals, when we set up piecewise, we got to use a brace to define it. We set up our conditional statement, or greater than, less than, or between. We use this as our if, and then we write our rule. And then if I need to, I can put a comma in, set up a second condition, the second rule. And then whenever I do that, and I can keep doing that for as long as I want, and then close brace when I'm done. Hope that's helpful, and I will see you when we do regressions at the end of the chapter. Bye.